microphones today.
Hi everyone, can you hear us?
I think they can
Great.
hear us now. Yes.
We are back. For our next speaker, we have Henry Whitfield, who is the global head of supply for ClickDealer, which is a big sponsor for our conference. So thank you again for supporting us.
Presenting sponsor. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Henry is looking for opportunities in the lead generation space, buying and selling. ClickDealer, a JDM group company, is a global marketing company that provides performance marketing solutions for publishers, advertisers, and agencies worldwide.
Henry, I think we're going to see a short video from you, and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Fantastic.
Thank you. We are as well.
Welcome, and again, thank you for the support.
Oh, it's great to be here for this conference.
Fantastic. Cue the video.
Hi, everybody. Henry Whitfield here from ClickDealer. I'm very excited to be here joining Webmaster Access, Panos and the team. We have some incredible speakers this week, some incredible content. I'm going to dive right into the presentation today, but I'm really excited to be here, and I really hope that you pick up one or two things today that gets you excited about lead generation. As I just mentioned, lead generation and the future of affiliate marketing is our topic today. At ClickDealer, we're very excited about lead generation, what the future of it means for affiliates and publishers, and really why you should be benefiting from it. But I know already many of you are going to be thinking, what does ClickDealer have to do with lead generation? That they're a dating company. I thought they were focused in other areas. So let's talk about why we're excited about it and how we got to here. ClickDealer launched in 2012, and we now have a global presence across Europe, Asia, and North America. We work with over 10,000 partners on both the buyer side of things as well as the publisher affiliate side. And we've spent over $1 million in the last 8 years just on rewarding our partners. In 2018, we made an aggressive investment into our own platform, building out our own technology that can provide insights to our buyers and our sellers, as well as insights into our own performance. This has allowed us to then build our own SmartLink technology, which we launched in 2019, which then has now progressed into us launching our own lead generation project in 2019. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Why lead generation is important, what the benefits are, and sharing some of the insights we have from the road that we've taken. Now, I know not all of you will be familiar with myself. As I said, my name is Henry. I am the global head of supply at ClickDealer, and I've been at ClickDealer for about 3 years. Prior to that, I have some other experience for the last 6 years in affiliate marketing, as well as further down the road to my university days when I was studying journalism and sports broadcasting, but also dabbled in SEO and other types of affiliate and performance marketing. Currently in my role, I oversee our affiliate management program, working hand in hand with some of our other team members, as well as overseeing a lot of our external partners. So you would have seen me at conferences, our parties, events, and other conferences or speaking engagements. So I'm very excited to be here today. But let's jump right into what we're here to talk about, which is lead generation. So we're trying to keep this straight to the point, so we've broken it down to 8 main areas. For those of you new to lead generation, we're going to talk about what lead generation is, why you should care about it, what the benefits of a lead generation campaign are, and what traffic is working. All of that's going to be based on the insights that we have as a network, working with both the aggregators on our side as well as our publishers. And then the other half of our presentation, we're going to talk about the effects of coronavirus, especially on the lead gen US market, how we've adapted and how our partners have adapted. And then we're going to talk about some specific insights onto how you can instantly improve your lead generation campaigns. And then we'll close out with a couple of final thoughts. So let's jump right in. What is lead generation? So on a basic level, it's that process that we're going to talk about of generating new customers or leads to develop interest into a sale or a service or a product. We can be generating this from an email list that you either bought or paid for, paid traffic, organic traffic, a number of different traffic sources. That lead's going to be qualified through a number of ways. It can be done through a form, it can be done through a call center, and then we're going to see about that different conversion point. The conversion point for lead generation, especially what we're going to talk about today, is often a sale, but it could also be an appointment, and it could be a number of different aspects depending on the type of campaign you're working with. Whether it's a financial campaign, an insurance campaign, home services, it is going to differ from offer to offer, and from market to market, because they all have different back-end metrics and how they're evaluating the value of your lead. But at the end of the day, no matter whether it's insurance, home services, or any other vertical or niche, we're looking at how we drive sales, how we're driving leads to real services. Not so much looking at data or SOI sweepstakes vouchers. We're looking at real businesses, maybe a plumber, maybe someone does home renovations, and how we're going to drive them leads. So of course, why should you care? Because we know that you've heard in the past about lead generation. Well, the market's massive. In 2019, US digital lead generation, advertisers spent almost $3 billion, $2.6 billion on ad spend and on marketing activities. What that means is there's a huge piece of the pie that you could be taking advantage of. We know just from the data out there that the money being spent on digital advertising in the US on lead generation is going to continue to expand. And we see projections of up to 85% increases into 2023. And we also know from the feedback from our partners that inbound marketing can cost up to 61% lower per lead than outbound marketing for some of these businesses. So that means the marketing that you're doing, the lead driving that you're doing, is already better for their business, which helps you drive and scale campaigns. And of course, in this market, but also at any time, the competition is aggressive, which means lead buyers are hungrier than ever in this competitive market to try and get those leads to their company. There's a bigger increase in terms of a market size. Obviously, that drives competition. And what we're looking for is, how do you break off your piece of the pie? How do you scale to thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in revenue on lead generation, specifically in this market? And it's definitely possible. We've seen publishers who started with us last year who are driving tens of thousands of leads a week, where they were starting with 0 or maybe 5 or 6 or 10 a day, and they'd be able to scale aggressively and scale with us. Now, some of you might be wondering about the benefits of lead generation and why we would look at these versus something like a SOI voucher or an email submit or something more aggressive or software download. Now, there's definitely some benefits that we see and why certain affiliates are branching out into this. Of course, there's a natural lifespan that we see, and I'm sure you've seen, where many affiliates will come in, they'll start with a pop campaign or a push campaign now in 2019 and 2020, and they'll start making that small amount of revenue trying to learn the basics. So there's obviously a natural progression where many affiliates will come in, they'll come in hot, aggressive, and they're going to progress to maybe more white hat campaigns or longer term, less of a churn and burn. So that's kind of where we're focused here. We know that you can build campaigns around stable products and services. For example, solar. We're seeing an increased investment across North America, especially the US market, in solar products, which means when you're able to build out an email list or maybe an organic website or drive leads through search or Facebook groups or however you're driving leads, you know that that product is stable. You know that you're not going to lose cap because that new iPhone came out or other products are out there. And so you know that you can build a campaign and you can invest your time and your resources into it because it's not going to disappear in a month or two. These aren't things that are going to change with regulation. We know that with something like solar or home insurance or life insurance, that demand is going to be there in 6 months, in 12 months, in a year, in 2 years. So again, we're looking at that long-term focus. Instead of maybe launching 10 campaigns this month and trying to scale until you lose accounts or you lose that campaign, we're looking at how you can build it out long-term and build a successful business. One of the keys here as well with lead generation is you're working with the traffic source, not against it. And I know many of you who are watching here today are thinking about those accounts that got banned or those accounts you lost that had to start from scratch, or maybe, a chargeback or some other issues. But here we're working with the Facebooks, the Googles, the different native traffic sources to use what they're good at with targeting and building a campaign and using that to work with it, not work against it, not worrying about how you're going to hide your tracks or how you're going to cover things up. You're using their platform to help benefit you. And that's a huge part when you think about the time that goes into acquiring accounts, building out campaigns, launching new campaigns. we're trying to give you something that you can look at and work towards. And of course, as I just said, spend more time focusing on marketing and growing campaigns. And the last part that I think is important is to keep in mind, and we just mentioned it, quality leads are always going to be in demand. A buyer isn't going to wake up tomorrow and say, we don't want your good lead generation leads. We don't want those incredible customers you're sending us in Texas to this solar offer. We don't want that fantastic customer base that you're accessing in California for our home services campaign. They're going to spend the money for quality leads. And as long as you're focused on that area, you're going to have success building campaigns, creating a stable campaign, and having long-term evergreen success. So one of the biggest questions we get is, what traffic should we buy? And now we've simplified this, and we're going to go into some more specifics with the traffic that we see. But in general, these are the three main areas that we're seeing success with for our partners, both that are buying leads, but also the affiliates that are generating leads. Of course, we've got social sites like Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest that are generating really good, solid leads, and YouTube as well. Search, of course, we know that search is going to work when someone's looking for replacement windows, they're looking to look into roofing, maybe they've had a flood, or maybe they're looking to find a comparison website for different insurances. We know search works. Don't just stick with Google. Look at Bing, look at Yahoo, look at the demographics of that 40, 45 plus homeowner, for example, that might use a different search engine than maybe just a Google. Then we're obviously going to look at native, and the aspects of how native works is if you can build out good ad copy and good ads with great placements on native, it can be a huge moneymaker with your campaigns, especially with lead generation. You're able to really get that flow going. And the reason why we're mentioning all three is a big part of what we've tried to do at ClickDealer is when we bring partners on that work, for example, with social traffic or search traffic or native traffic, we want them to diversify. It helps us because we know if there's a change in keyword costs or there's a change in the CPC on Facebook or an issue that a publisher is seeing on the source, we don't want all of our volume to go down, and we don't want the buyer to be left out, or vice versa, with a publisher only being focused on one area. So we want to make sure that we're diversifying. So when we look at these three areas, we try and make sure that our affiliates, if they're sending to us, are at least testing new areas, trying to branch out and diversify. So let's dig in. Instead of platitudes about different types of verticals, I want to really look at what we're seeing as a whole and then dive into two main areas. So as a whole on lead generation at ClickDealer, we're seeing about 63% of traffic being mobile and 37% being desktop. Now this is being reflected across performance marketing, but we're definitely seeing it. And this might come as a shock because many people might think, oh, on a desktop, you're searching, you're looking for different insurance products, you're looking for financial products, maybe you're looking for a loan. But we know mobile forms, mobile ads, all of that stuff is looking more and more impressive on a phone. It's becoming more dynamic. And we're definitely seeing that really pop in when we're looking at mobile traffic for lead generation. In general, what we're seeing is about 65% of our traffic coming from Facebook specifically, about 20% coming from search, 10% from native, and 5% is going to be a mixture of email, other traffic sources. Even stuff like Snapchat has been working really well on lead generation when they've got the right ad copy with the right placements.
Okay, I think we're good now. We're having a bit of trouble with these muting microphones. Okay, thank you very much, Henry, for that. Henry from ClickDealer was great video. Shall we go to questions? Are you with us, Henry?
Yeah, I'm here right now. I know we're going to dive a little bit more into some more traffic afterwards. So, but happy to answer any questions now.
Alrighty, let's hit you with a few questions. Okay, what verticals are easiest to break into?
I think that's it's a bit of a loaded question, but I think for us and what we see is two ways to break in. Number one, we're looking for affiliates where the easiest threshold to a customer is. So home services seems to be the biggest area where affiliates are jumping in first, just by the nature of being able to target the right demographics, but also the cross-selling ability. So for example, if you're looking at someone who is applying for, say, home insurance, or they're doing a home renovation, you can cross-sell to other things and really utilize that targeting data you brought up. So for new affiliates, that's one of the main areas, home services for sure. But then we're also seeing insurance, because especially in this time, and we'll dive into the impacts of coronavirus after this break, but definitely health insurance, home insurance, planning ahead, that's part of the customer mentality right now. So those two areas are definitely for us, and where we see our newer partners in lead gen going right towards.
Right. Any big challenges facing, or the biggest challenges facing publishers starting with lead generation?
I think it's just understanding what the difference is between like a single opt-in sweepstakes or voucher and an actual lead generation offer, where we're not always looking for 1,000 leads, but maybe just 50 quality leads that are going to convert down that sales funnel. Instead of just data mining, we're looking at actual customers looking for actual services or products. And so you have to kind of change your mentality as an affiliate. You're not just going for that short-term quick buck. You have to look at, how do you build out your ad copy? How do you build out your funnel, your pre-lander and that sales funnel, so you actually can increase your quality of customer, but also just that conversion rate to put money in your own pocket.
Okay. And is ClickDealer planning to add any further CPL lead generation offers in the next months?
Yeah, we definitely are. Right now, we're active in about 9 different verticals across lead generation, mostly focused in the United States. We are expanding to international markets, but you'll definitely see as things get back to normal in the US, especially in allowing home appointments and other things, you'll definitely see us expand. For us, we're pretty flexible. We are a large company, as I mentioned in the introduction, which gives us quite a bit of flexibility in terms of launching new verticals, going to new markets. So it really comes down to supply and demand. If we have partners who are ready to promote and break into new verticals, we'll walk right next to them and we'll jump right in with 2 feet.
Okay.
Also, apparently there's like some shenanigans going on with your mustache and hair. People questioning where it went. So
it was
bring the attention to that.
It was the first thing Panos brought up when he saw me. At the last conference I spoke at, I had a mustache and hair. I kind of looked like a 60s porn star. So I tried to trim my hair because everyone said I looked a little wild and out of control. And this is what happened. My hair's grown back a little bit, but I couldn't keep the mustache without the hair. So everyone was giving me a hard time before. And apparently you can't please anyone with hair or without hair. So this is just an effect of coronavirus.
You're too clean cut for this industry now. They're like,
I know, exactly. I definitely don't normally look this clean cut.
Shall we dive deeper then? Next part of your video from
definitely, we'll dive into specifics about traffic and awesome. The effects of coronavirus.
Fantastic.
We're going to take it into our 2 main areas. One, which is going to be insurance. So we're going to talk about health insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, and then home services. So you're looking at window replacements, you're looking at roofing, heating, HVAC, all that sort of stuff under home services. And for this purpose, I am going to lump in solar with home services. Often we look at them separately, but for this, let's at least look at the numbers. Now, a lot of this is going to be similar, but for home services, we're seeing about 60% mobile, 40% desktop, and we're seeing up to 70% coming from social traffic, 20% from search, and 10% native. On the insurance side, we see an even more aggressive slant towards mobile traffic. Now, this is both in the demand from our buyers, but also in the traffic that we're buying, and we're seeing convert well. Up to 95% of the traffic is coming from mobile, 5% desktop focused. I think a big part of this is just the evolution of forms and how they look on a phone, that pre-fillability, being able to get in and get those quotes quickly and convert really quickly. I think that's really helping on that mobile side. And then, of course, as we look at the breakdown, we're up to 80% coming from social, 50% search, and then 5% is native and display. And so we're really seeing those 2 verticals dominated by social, search, and native. So when you're looking to buy traffic, it's important to know the trends that we're seeing, but also keep in mind that it's going to be more competitive. So I'm telling you right now that native leads our buyers absolutely love. There's absolutely massive value there. And we're also seeing less publishers using native. So if you take the time to master native, and I know there's some conversations through this conference on native traffic, if you go through and you take a look and you take the time to learn a new a new traffic source, that is going to benefit you, especially in white hat lead gen. So as we transition to the second half of maybe some of more advice than what we're seeing, we're going to start with coronavirus. It's the number one thing out there right now in terms of what we're talking about, the impact on buyers, on consumer habits. All of that sort of stuff is being impacted. So we wanted to share with you what we saw in terms of the trends over the last 4 months. And now we split things up into insurance. So that's home, health, life insurance, auto services. So that's going to be auto insurance, auto loans, home services, and solar. And those are the four, I guess, horsemen, if you will, where we want to focus because that's where we're seeing the most demand and also the most dramatic shift. As you can see, if you look at the far left of the chart, in February, we saw about 30% combined between insurance leads and auto loan or insurance leads, with up to 50% of the leads coming from home services and 20% coming from solar. So you can see a huge slant. You're at about a 70 to 30% when we look at home services in general and home improvements towards insurance and auto. And we started to see a shift in March and April. And the reason being is we saw a shift not only in consumer habits as different restrictions were placed across the United States, but we also saw impacts on buyers and their back-end metrics. So for example, we saw where a campaign like a home services campaign that's focused on an in-home appointment as a back-end metric, we're no longer able to go through. So we have seen a transition where maybe drones are being used or teleconferencing, but at the same time, the buyer demand or the value of the leads has definitely decreased on the home services side, and we're seeing things improve on insurances. And if you look all the way to May, we've actually seen a complete flip. We're seeing a higher demand and a higher lead value in insurance and auto, up to 70% versus down to 30% for home services and solar. And this is really just that performance metrics have had to adjust to the way that the market is and the consumer habits and buyer habits. But you can also see that there's an opportunity here from the adversity and the difficult situation. A lot of these buyers have been able to pivot, or for us at least in our affiliates, have been able to pivot and plan ahead for what the impacts would be on lead generation. So how are we going to adapt? Now, we've created what I like to see in terms of on the right, a spider chart for how to cross-sell. And we're always telling our affiliates and our customers to always be trying to adapt and try something new. But there's four main areas that we've really pushed to our publishers so they were able to make that pivot. And hopefully you can too in the future. Knowing the target customer, understanding your buyer, diversifying your traffic sources, and retargeting to new verticals. So knowing your customer, understanding your buyer are so crucial to lead generation. How can you sell their product or service if you don't know what's on their landing page, you don't know what they're offering, or you don't know what kind of customer they're looking for? It's not as simple as ripping a landing page and buying traffic and saying it's going to work. You have to really understand what the buyer is looking for. You have to understand what they're offering and how do you incorporate that into what you're doing. And if you have that understanding, you can then pivot it to other cross-selling opportunities. So if you're running homeowner demographic offers like home insurance or home improvement, and you know exactly what kind of customer you have and where it's converting, you're able to look at other insurance offers, financials, maybe home loans, maybe senior services, and other cross-selling opportunities. And this is something that we share with all of our team to make sure they understand. But as an affiliate, it's also super important to understand the cross-selling opportunities that you have. Now let's take a step back. And one of the things we've talked about is how to adapt coronavirus. But I want to focus now on some ways to improve your campaigns as we look at the future of what you as an affiliate can have in the industry, or what the future of affiliate marketing can be for you. And the big thing is, when we talk about lead generation, is focusing on quality, not quantity. I'd rather have 100 great leads for an auto insurance buyer than 5,000 leads that I'm then going to have to charge back or replace or take as a loss, because that then impacts your ROI and impacts my ROI and the buyer as well, has a lot of stuff that they have to do on their end. So we want to focus on quality, not quantity, and how to scale, or more so, where less is more. So as we look at quality and why that's important, we really have to key in on ad copy. And I know I just had to sneak this in here because ad copy for me is a little passion project. I've already mentioned that my background was in writing and journalism. So there's 4 areas where I just hate seeing issues. Misspelling and grammar, obviously, is where we see our biggest number of mistakes. If it looks unprofessional, why is someone going to then go on and buy insurance? Use spell check and look. False claims. If you're offering $1,000 of free home security product, but they get to the user, they get to the call center and the agent, and they have a different promotion going on, or they don't have any promotion, then you're going to lose your customer, and that's not going to back out. And remember, as an affiliate, you want these leads to back out because you want to be able to scale, get a better CPA, and grow that campaign. Another common mistake is trying to squeeze everything into one ad. You're not even reading what I have written there. I've made it smaller. I've put too much information in there. Keep it simple, keep it focused, keep it to the point. And not including a call to action. It's just crazy, but if you're an affiliate marketer, you should already know this. A clear call to action that matches the product and service is so important and crucial to what we're talking about here with lead generation. Your message is so important that ad copy can really derail any good campaign that you have. I know at ClickDealer, one of the things that we try and do is make sure our affiliate managers understand the importance of this so that when they're working or they're looking at the ad copy that's being submitted for approvals, that we're able to give that first round of feedback before it even goes through other approvals. And now it's so important. And this, if you take anything from this presentation, this is the number one thing and key to lead generation, whether it's a home services product, financial, whether it's anything to do with home services. Your message is everything. You need to have a clear and congruent message from the initial impression through your funnel, through the landing page, through the form that they fill out, all the way to the call center agent and whoever fulfills the product or service on the back end. Everything has to work in tandem for everything to back out, for you to be able to scale your campaign long-term, for you to be able to get a better CPA, for you to be able to get better performance, for buyers to want to buy your leads. You have to really understand your messaging and really understand everything from point A to point Z. And this is where you need to use your affiliate manager. You need them to explain to you, what does the buyer want? What is the buyer saying? Do they have a script that we can look at to incorporate into our ad copy? All of those important things and that attention to detail can help you make such an incredible message and that great funnel and reduce all the barriers to conversion that are going to hurt your campaigns and lead generation. If you take anything from this presentation, it's this. Make sure you understand the product, make sure you understand the service, and make sure you understand everything after you send that lead to the network or to the buyer. Understand everything from point A to Z, and you're going to instantly improve your campaigns. Here's the 5 final tips for you to improve your campaigns, and we'll go through them because it's a lot of repetition, but I want to hammer it home. Number 1, diversify your traffic sources. Don't just rely on Facebook. Don't just rely on search. Find, learn, master new traffic sources. Find where the opportunity is. Focus on quality, not quantity. Know your customer and your buyer. Focus regionally versus nationwide so you can really hone in on consumer habits and buyer habits. And expand into related verticals and cross-sell. If you take these 5 tips and you put them into the campaigns you have live, or you keep them in mind as you launch new lead generation campaigns, I guarantee you will find success and you will find improvements in your campaign and your campaign performance. That brings a wrap to our presentation here. I'm very excited that you guys were here to listen to this. I'm looking forward to answering some questions. And of course, you can find us at clickdealer.com. We have a virtual booth, so please drop by, find out more about us. I look forward to talking to more of you during this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Henry. That was very insightful.
Awesome.
Are we there? Again muted? What's going on?
You're good.
We're good? Okay.
You can hear us, Henry?
I can hear you guys now.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, let's start with the first one. That's the first one there, right? What kind of
Yeah, I think
okay.
we answered that one. Henry, tell us a little bit. How did you?
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
do that.
Okay,
No.
go ahead.
What kind of traffic would you suggest buying to get started with lead generation?
I think it's definitely a mixed bag. I talked about three main traffic sources just now, and definitely Facebook is the most popular, but it can definitely be pretty tricky in terms of getting an affiliate started and going. I think if you split it between Facebook and native, are probably the two easier ones to get into. Search can be very easy to get leads, but expensive because the more direct keywords and search terms you're using are going to be more expensive. So that's directly going to impact your ROI. I think what's really important, and especially with what we're talking about here today, is to understand exactly what kind of a customer and a demographic that the buyer wants. And then more so than just the traffic, making sure your pre-lander and your messaging and your ad copy are perfect, no matter the type of traffic source. And that's, for me, we can drive quality leads for lead generation across a number of types of medium. But if you don't do your details properly, it's going to just be throwing money down the drain.
Awesome. And one last question for you. Should I be working with RevShare or CPA campaigns?
You know what? It's definitely a chicken and the egg situation. Every buyer wants you to be on RevShare because it's better for them. They're paying you when they get a sale. They're paying you when an appointment happens, when a bathroom gets remodeled. And so obviously in the buyer end, RevShare can pay off. And it can also pay you more. If you've got your campaigns dialed in where you're sending great quality customers through your native campaigns, or maybe you've built out some organic listicles or organic websites where the traffic you're coming through with is super targeted, then a RevShare makes sense because you as an affiliate can make more money and you get paid for the actual quality of your lead. On the other hand, a lot of affiliates, when they're starting, are just more comfortable with the CPA because they're trying to optimize the targeting they have. They're trying to optimize their campaigns, and they're just more comfortable with the CPA and that straight price. But definitely, once you're getting the ball rolling, once you're getting that quality feedback from a buyer, you're optimizing with your affiliate manager or account manager, you should be thinking long-term, how do I make more money? And RevShare can be an easy, or not an easy, but the next natural progression in terms of what you're running.
Awesome. You wanna? I
do.
know he was.
I'm
Steve was eager to ask.
super eager. So tell us about your story. How did you get started in this?
Oh, okay. So a little bit of a switch back. So I went to school for journalism and sports broadcasting. So I did some radio, television, broadcasting stuff throughout university. And at that time, a young 19, 20-year-old Henry thought he was going to change the world either with his writing or, be calling play-by-play for hockey on TV. And so that was part of the dream. And I was doing that. And then I wanted to get married, started a family. And I found out what someone makes doing that. So it's not a lot of money. So I knew someone who was in the industry, and I was actually at my brother's bachelor party in Atlantic City in New Jersey. And I was there with like 4 or 5 guys from the industry. I was about 20 years old. I came back from that and said, that's the lifestyle I want. And then 6-7 years later, I'm now working with ClickDealer and just obviously enjoying everything to do with this industry and what we do.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are one of our biggest sponsors, so thank you again. Really
yeah, we're happy to be a part of it. We've been involved with Webmaster Access for a few years, so we're always happy to be here. And this conference has just been awesome. So I know ClickDealer as a presenting sponsor is really happy.
We appreciate that because we put in a lot of hard work. So.
So we have a question from the chat.
Cool.
It's Bjorn Milder. I came in late, he says, but I do understand that the car sales and insurance are rising. So we can expect those companies to do well on the stock market as well. Now financials and car manufacturers are on a low. Do you want to comment on that? I'm not sure it's a question.
I mean, I'm not an expert in stocks and that industry, but definitely I think anything to do with financial or just looking ahead for a rainy day, so insurances are part of that consumer mentality now. So we know just common sense that money's tight in the US. A lot of people are struggling or unemployed. And so that means people aren't remodeling their bathroom. They're not replacing their windows. They're not doing those sorts of things. What they're doing is thinking, what if I drop dead tomorrow? Or what if I get in a car accident? Or how can I save some dollars by comparing an insurance? So I'm not so sure on the manufacturing side, but what I can tell you is if you're an affiliate working lead generation, keeping an eye on those consumer mentalities, how the world is turning, it's super important. And I think we're seeing those guys who are thinking ahead 2-3 months ago really benefiting from driving, 5,000-10,000 leads a week on health insurance where they ran 0 in February, right? So the pivoting and staying ahead of that curve is just crucial to your long-term success.
That's awesome. Thank you, Henry. You have a lot of fans in the chat.
Steve Magnus is saying, great presentation. Yay, ClickDealer. And hope.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, ClickDealer. Hope. So.
Well, it's definitely been great to be here. And the chats have been awesome.
I think I'm predicting a speaker winner for tomorrow.
Fantastic.
I'm putting bets.
Oh, you're putting bets or taking bets?
Gambling website.
Hold on. Is there an affiliate program for your betting channel? I wonder. I can sign up on. I'm learning.
We're learning slowly.
Everything has an affiliate link, guys.
Perfect. See, we're getting info. Thank you so much, Henry. You've been awesome. It's been great having you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I do see there's a question about education CPL. I want to address that really quickly.
Yes,
sorry, not to do your job, but education is something we've stayed away from. It has a bit of a history of fraudulent advertising and low quality leads. It's really difficult as a network to work with some of these verticals because of the high amount of fraud or low quality leads. So we do pick and choose what we work with. Education is something we don't work with. We probably won't work with just because of the history of the vertical. Everything we talked about today and what we're trying to grow for the future is how you get to a sustainable, evergreen, white hat business doing actual promotional marketing activities. So it might be different than some people are used to, but that's why we're talking about some of these verticals that you can build a business around and you don't have to worry about Facebook banning you or an industry shift. Maybe you have to worry about coronavirus, but with everything else that's going on, we're talking about some of these more stable verticals. So
we don't want to let you go yet, apparently.
We're not going to go just yet. It's not.
We have more questions.
I'm here as long as you want to have me.
Fantastic.
So what do you think converts better, copy or graphics?
I think they go hand in hand. I think really bad ad copy. Sorry, but I'll dive in a little bit more because I mentioned my presentation, and with my background in journalism, the written word is super important to me. And you can talk to our PR team. I hammer them on some of the smallest things, just because for me, I think, especially in a search ad or a Facebook ad where you have limited text, it really has to make an impact. So I think photos can be good. And I think the graphic initially brings you in, but obviously the ad copy for me is what is going to convert me as a user. I think you have to focus on both equally, but I think bad ad copy can sink you quicker than a bad graphic. Just from our experience, I think you see a lot of the same kind of graphics or photos included in these types of verticals, but bad or misleading ad copy or a spelling mistake will just sink you.
Henry, you spoke a little bit earlier on about a very, very important factor, fraud. You mentioned around education. Do you want to just comment and just expand a little bit on that? I mean, is there how prevalent is it? What measures do you guys take against it?
So, I mean, for us, we have like I mentioned, we developed our own platform in 2018. And a big part of that has been taking a lot of different steps to protect our buyers, but also protect our affiliates. And I'll dive into that a bit. On the affiliate side, we're able to give more detailed feedback now so that they can go to where they're buying their traffic from if it's not a mainstream source, and really dig deeper and find out maybe they're just buying bad traffic. Maybe they it's on their traffic side of things where there's the problem. But on the buyer side, what we realize as a network, and this is why ClickDealer has been around for so long, is we have to protect those partners on the network side. There's just a limited number of partners. So in terms of fraud and limiting that, we have our own proprietary ways that we do that on our platform. But especially on lead generation, we have a dedicated compliance team that works diligently to score our leads, check our leads, connect with our call centers, with our buyers, work on returns. So we're able to turn around, especially in lead generation, feedback very quickly because of the reliance on call centers. An agent can tell you right away, for example, and I'll use home security as an example because it's the most straightforward. If you put that someone's going to get $1,000 of free equipment when they sign up, for their home security, and they go through the funnel and they go through the form, and then they get to the actual agent who says, oh, there's no promotion, or maybe it's $100, you're losing that sale instantly. But we get that feedback right away. We find out from the agent someone's mentioned $1,000 free equipment. We can then nail that down to what ad copy, all the way down. And so maybe fraud's the wrong word, but misleading advertisements are probably more prevalent on lead generation. We see that a lot in financial offers, a lot when it's talking about loans or interest-free loans or payday loans. So we just have to be vigilant, because that's protecting our affiliates, but also protecting our buyers on the back end.
That's awesome. George Haralabakis, he posted a comment, not a question, regarding the USA having, regarding there being plenty of lead generation offers for USA, but not for the EU.
Or Latin America.
Or Latin America, yeah. Do you have something to say about that?
I think it's just the prevalence of adapting the yellow pages to online marketing, right? And I think that's where we've seen, I mean, my background also includes paper calls. So that's where we've kind of gone into lead generation now, is that you see in the US, the market is just set up so much more advanced than others. It's also the big population you have in the United States. You can do a nationwide campaign or state campaign versus in the EU, where you've got lots of smaller countries, or in Latin America. And that's really where it comes down to, is that targeting a smaller country in the EU, for example, or setting up a network of contractors is much more difficult. That being said, we do see an emergence for us in France, in Spain, in some Scandinavian countries where there is a demand, and we are building out our portfolio. But obviously that takes more time. The US market is a $1 trillion industry across all these verticals we're talking about. And so that's just where the big piece of the pie is, right? That's where affiliates can say, that is established, and I can go get my piece of the revenue and make my money. So that's why you see a domination for the US. But there's definitely demand. It's also harder, just because if you don't have a big nationwide network, then those leads don't back out as well, right? So it's a chicken and the egg situation. We have that conversation all the time with partners, and we are building it out. Day by day, week by week.
Yeah, I was gonna say USA is a capitalist country, and then
exactly.
Also it's one homogenous language. Like I was telling Steve too, like, and other people, because I used to live in LA. Like I can order anything I want from Amazon. Like I can think it, and it exists on Amazon. Here in Greece, it's like I gotta like go to these little stores and like ask everybody if they have these like weird things that I want. And we're like, what are you talking about? So it's a different market. Like
it is, and I mean,
yeah,
we're based in Toronto, or I'm based in Toronto, and so you would think Canada, same kind of market, but the population size is so much smaller. It's so much broken up, and there's just less demand, right? The US is a massive, mostly English-speaking country, and so you're exactly right. There is one thing I didn't mention, and I'm glad you brought up language, is Spanish language lead generation in the US is an untapped market. There's a ton of call centers that have both English speaking and Spanish speaking agents because of that southern border. And so it's a huge untapped market for targeting Spanish language. Obviously there's some nuances for the language, but we definitely have a demand on the buyer side. And there's also publishers who can demand or drive Spanish speaking leads. So there is, an underutilized market there for sure.
All right, before we let you go, we have one more question from Chloe. Just one more question, please. She says, is it better to invest in one main funnel with long-time results or multiple smaller ones?
I think it depends on your strategy as an affiliate. I think if I was an affiliate and I was to build out my own funnel, for example, let's say solar panels, I'd be focusing on two things. I'd be focusing on just trying to learn how the product works and learning the funnel. So doing something more short-term. So investing and maybe diversifying my funnels that way. But then thinking, how do I build out something organic? Do I build out a listicle website where I can then drive leads through search and Facebook and native and drive leads through there and build up my presence with real quality content, right? Hire a copywriter to write me 20, 30 articles that are good quality and really build out a business. That definitely works. It's more long-term though. You're going to see results 6 months, 12 months down the road. But I mean, let's talk about it. Solar energy is not going anywhere. Right. So, you build it out. This is why we're talking about lead generation. You put the effort in today, it pays off down the road. And I did mention for us, lead generation is relatively new in the last 18 18 months, we've really expanded. And for most affiliates who started with us maybe 6 months ago, we've been able to pivot them from example, maybe dating or adult advertising or different ways and teach them. And now that, they're running to the moon and scaling their campaigns. So I think it depends on your goals, but I definitely think there are some verticals it's easier to capitalize on like a short-term funnel, like for example, Medicare in October versus maybe solar long-term. Sorry, I can talk for days, guys. So just cut me off at any time.
Thank you. I was going to say also, like, hiring a copywriter to do things like blogs and blog articles helps more with organic traffic, right? Versus paid. So that's something that is very useful in the future because you don't have to pay for organic traffic and you do have to pay for paid traffic. Is there something else that you want?
I've got nothing more to add or ask. I think our audience is happy. I'm not seeing too many questions come through.
Everybody's thanking you, from a grammar freak to a grammar freak. Thank you.
Fantastic.
One thing I will add, just a bit of promotion, is you should ask your affiliate manager for content and ask them for feedback from the buyers. I know that, for example, if our affiliates come to us, I have a number of copywriters I'll refer. So I think a good lead generation network or what we're doing will have those resources for you so that you can better your campaigns.
A big thank you from everybody. Thank you from the chat. I see Chloe saying thank you for answering her question. Shall we let you go?
We've tortured you enough. I think we can let you go now.
Awesome. And then just feel free to drop by our virtual booth because we'll be there all day.
We'll find him on the virtual booth if you guys have any questions. Thank you so much, Henry.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.